Well, hello, folks. Laura here from Ontario, Canada, Zone 4A. I'm in the kitchen today, and I knew I was going to be tired, so I thought, I had a dream about my grandmother who raised me from 2 years old, and I thought I would make her macaroni and cheese, but top it up a notch. Yeah, step it up a notch, just a little bit, so I could have a combination meal all in one casserole dish, so to speak. So I like doing my noodles in the Instant Pot. Oh my goodness, it is so quick and easy to do, and I use the coconut oil in replacement of oil or butter or margarine. I never really have any butter in the house, so I use that. So I put it in my Instant Pot, and 6 minutes later, it's all done, folks. The one thing I like and really like about the Instant Pot cooking the macaroni, 6 minutes and it's done. There's no waiting for the water to boil. And I have a unit that's I bought from Walmart. You plug it in and it takes forever for the water to boil, 20 minutes. So this just takes a couple of minutes to come up to pressure, and 6 minutes later it's done. It has to release pressure, of course, so I can sit and rest my back. Because the reason for making this ahead of time today is because I knew my back was going to kill me like it did yesterday. So there you go, it's all done. But unfortunately, I rested my back a little too long. You need to get that noodles out of there as soon as it's depressurized. But I'm going to cool them off anyway because I want to stop the cooking process of those noodles. I don't like mushy noodles in my mac and cheese. So I usually put cold water into it and stir it up to cool them off right away, just like you would if you were to make vegetables and you don't want them to become mushy. You put cold water on them to stop it. So that's what I did, and then I drained it into the sink. Yes, I did. Now, I don't know if I could use starchy water in my vegetable garden. You probably could. I'm going to have to Google that. Babs, can I do that? I know I can ask Babs. She's a vault of information, and I can't remember an eighth of what she knows. So I'm sure she'll let me know. But I like to chill it down, and then I will add it to my dish. Look at this dish. This dish was from the 70s. Yeah, I wish I knew where the lid for this was. It's probably in my basement somewhere that I can't even get to. So I added a bit of butter. Now this is, I'm somewhat following Graham's. She did a simple macaroni and cheese. She put butter, I'm putting margarine, in the bottom of the casserole dish, and then she poured the noodles on top. Yes, and that's what I'm going to do and spread it around. I have extra noodles that I'm saving aside, and I'm going to use them for something else. Maybe a little pasta sauce, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I like to save some back for extra because, it just makes it easier to cook the next day. Especially when you're gardening and carrying jugs of heavy water. Your back tends to ache by the time it's dinner time and you got to get cooking. So I put them in there. And I'm going to add salt and pepper. A little bit of salt, but more pepper than salt. I do like pepper I'm a spicy gal. I like pepper in my food products. So Graham used to put a bit of margarine on top. Because you got to have some at the bottom, got to have some at the top. Alrighty then. I don't make this very often because there's an awful lot of margarine in it. So I add a little bit of salt to the thing because I don't salt the water in the pressure cooker. But I do overshake on the pepper because I like the pepper. And this is a sort of a big dish, and this macaroni and cheese will last a very long time in my refrigerator. Lots of meals can come out of this, which is nice because I like leftovers. When you're tired, you just pop it in the microwave or the toaster oven and you've got a meal. Now this is my addition. I like red pepper flakes, so I thought I would add a few red pepper flakes to spice it up a bit. Yes, indeedy. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to cut some hot dogs and put it in there, or I'm going to cook in my air fryer a breaded chicken breast. I'm not certain what I'm going to do. But here I have some frozen vegetables that I'm going to add to the dish. Usually I'll have the vegetable as a side because I do like vegetables as side dish. But I think it'll go well in here with the noodles and the cheese. Now, I didn't have any evaporated milk. My grandma always used a can of evaporated milk. She'd use the whole can because the noodles will soak it up. So it's not going to be runny or anything. So I went online and found recipes for evaporated milk that you can make with powdered milk. So I have skim milk that's powdered. I do enjoy the Carnation company of skim milk powdered. I've tried some of the others and I don't like the flavor of the others. So this tends to taste more like milk. When I make this and I refrigerate it, it tastes like milk to me, like skim milk. And yeah, it's really good. It's a good product. I enjoy it. Anyhow, so I'm going to try and make the evaporated milk. Now this is a different type of recipe than I've used before. I have made evaporated milk before out of regular milk, but never the powdered milk. So this should be interesting. I just need some sort of milky product to go in my mac and cheese. So I add the water and then you stir it up. And I had a second thought that as this warms up, the macaroni and cheese warms up in the microwave once everything's put together, not the microwave, but the toaster oven, once everything's put together, just in case the milk from the skim powdered milk stays runny. Because just with the starch from the noodles will thicken it up too. But I thought I would add a teaspoon of cornstarch to it. So when it heats up, the cornstarch will thicken the sauce that this tends to make. And it usually stays in my toaster oven about a half an hour, so the liquid usually gets soaked up very quickly for this mac and cheese. Sometimes, if you take it out too soon, it can be a bit soupy. Well, sometimes I like it soupy, but I like it soupy when I have a can of actual evaporated milk. So therein went the cornstarch. So when I heat it up, it will thicken up. I did, however, put this into the microwave for a couple of minutes and on high, just to sort of hurry up the process. And it was time for a cup of joe. Yes, it was. My back was already starting to twinge. Yesterday, I could barely make it inside from doing the bit of deck gardening, leaning over my garden truck for a couple hours and fighting with that umbrella. Yeah, by the time I came in, my back was just killing me. So today, I thought I'm going to be kind to myself and get dinner started, the prep of the most of the dinner done before it's dinner time. And so I made a cup of joe, instant. The liquid from the measuring cup that you saw, I used my Keurig. I like to heat the water in my Keurig, and it just drains into the measuring cup. So there I put the evaporated milk into just a container. I couldn't find a big enough jug to put it into when I was ready to put it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to use it. I don't want to use it too soon because then the noodles will soak it all up. So I like to add the evaporated milk just before it goes into the oven. Okay, folks, I'm not going to tell you that something worked out when it didn't. The evaporated milk I made with the skim milk powdered did not work out. Now, it may have if I would have used more cornstarch to thicken it. It was milky and runny. It did not absorb. Now, I don't know if the problem was I made this ahead of time earlier in the day, this casserole, covered it and put it in the refrigerator. So when I put it in my toaster oven, I didn't even bother preheating the toaster oven. I just turned it on, threw the casserole in, set the timer for 45 minutes or 40 minutes, and and I thought dinner would be ready and hot and piping. Well, it wasn't hot and it wasn't piping and it wasn't piping hot. It wasn't even warm, so I was afraid that my toaster oven broke. So, but no, it was, I put this cold casserole into a cold oven, and because I didn't want to preheat it and then put the cold dish into a 400 degree oven because it might crock it. So that was a mistake. So I wound up microwaving. I dished it up into my bowl, dinner plate, and I microwaved it, and then it got hot. And it was delicious, but it was still milky, and I was not impressed. Now, I have made evaporated milk substitute with real whole milk, like whole real milk, lactose milk, 2%, and it worked out great. But as I remember the recipe, which I cannot find, the evaporated milk was made on the stove, and I added some other things to it. I can't remember what it was because it was quite a while ago. But so I just wanted to tell you that it did not work out. So stay tuned for the reveal, and there's the reveal, and yes, it looks wonderful and it tastes wonderful once it got hot. As you can see, quite a bit of that cheese was not melted because it wasn't piping hot. Now, the reason that the noodles, I don't overcook my noodles to begin with, because if I know I'm going to have leftovers, of something like this. I won't overcook the noodles, because when you go to rewarm a perfectly cooked noodle, then you will wind up with mush, and it loses its shape, and it's terrible. So, but I did enjoy, let me tell you, I did enjoy the addition of the hot dogs and the addition of the pepper flakes and the frozen vegetables. That was delicious. So I just took it and put it in the microwave.